The Dispute, a Marvel fanfiction written on AO3 by POV Maddie. The link for this fanfiction will be in the description box below, so I encourage you all to go check it out. Tony Stark was in his lab, tinkering with his Iron Man suit, when his phone began to ring. He answered it, expecting it to be a business call, but instead it was Peter's school. "Mr. Stark, this is Principal Johnson from Midtown High," the voice on the other side of the line said. Tony sighed, knowing what's coming. "Let me guess, Peter's been getting into trouble again?" "Yes, I'm afraid so. He's been getting a lot of detentions lately, and we're concerned about his behavior." Tony pinched the bridge of his nose, feeling a headache coming on. He knew he had to talk to Peter about this, but was dreading the conversation. Thanks for letting me know, Principal Johnson. I'll take care of it," Tony said, hanging up the phone. He took a deep breath and went to find Peter, who was in the living room, playing video games. "Peter, we need to talk," Tony said, his voice stern. Peter looked up from his game, surprised to see his dad. "Yeah, what's up, Dad?" "I just got a call from your school, Peter. They told me you've been getting a lot of detentions lately. What's going on?" Peter shrugged, trying to act nonchalant. "It's no big deal, Dad. I just got caught skipping class a few times." "No big deal," Tony repeated, his voice rising. Peter, you know how serious this is? You're jeopardizing your education, and you're throwing all the opportunities away that I've given you." "I'm sorry, Dad," Peter said, his voice getting defensive. "I just needed a break from school, you know? It's boring and pointless." "Boring and pointless," Tony said, his eyes narrowing. "You think your education is boring and pointless? Do you know how many people have the privilege of going to a top-notch school like Midtown High? How many kids would kill to have the opportunities you have?" Peter looked down at his feet, feeling ashamed. He knew he messed up, but he didn't want to admit it. I'm sorry, Dad. I'll do better, I promise," Peter said, trying to placate his father. But Tony wasn't having it. "No, Peter, you won't do better. Not unless you take this seriously. I'm grounding you, Peter. No video games, no hanging out with friends, no nothing. Until you prove to me you're capable of handling your responsibilities. You're not going anywhere." Peter's eyes widened in shock. He'd never been grounded before, and he didn't know how to react. But Dad, that's not fair," Peter protested. "You're treating me like a kid." "You are a kid, Peter," Tony said, his voice booming. "You're not an adult. You're a teenager who needs to learn some responsibility. And if grounding you what it takes, then so be it." The Avengers, who had all been watching the argument from around the kitchen, exchanged glances. They'd never seen Tony so angry before, and they could tell it was a serious matter. Peter looked at his father, feeling defeated. He knew he'd messed up, and now he had to face the consequences. "Oh, okay, Dad," Peter said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'll do better, I promise." Tony nodded, his anger subsiding. Good. That's what I want to hear. Go to your room, Pete. You're grounded." Peter nodded and left his room, feeling chastised. He knew he had a lot of work to do if he wanted to earn his father's trust back. The Avengers watched him go, with a mix of sympathy and concern. They knew that growing up was hard, especially when you had a superhero for a dad, but they also knew Tony was doing what he believed was best for his son, even if it meant being tough on him.